All righty, here today. We are recording today, and you will get a copy of that automatically. I'm going to go on video here as well. Just wanted to say hello and thank you all for your time today. We greatly appreciate it. Wanted to make sure, and let me just check here. Yes, you can see my slides and also hear me okay, which is fantastic. So I'm very excited to be here with you all today, whether you're a Georgia State alum or friend, quote unquote, of Create Your Career Path. And we are going to be talking today about facing the fear of career transition, which is a really big deal for people. I always joke with our clients, I feel like career transition should be up in that top 10 of most stressful things in life, along with moving and public speaking and all of that other stuff. There are reasons why people stay in jobs that aren't completely a fit for them because it's hard work to do this and it can be very scary. So we're going to walk through step by step some of the tools that we would recommend you adopt, take on, etc. Some of the things we share with our clients to help them take control of their career transition and kind of get out of their own way, if you will, in terms of making that happen. So for those of you who don't know me, I've been partnered with Georgia State for years and years. I need to go back and count. Love that partnership. Great university and institution. And if you are here as one of our clients, etc., welcome, welcome. I'm a certified career coach, speaker, and author. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. We have a fantastic team of certified career coaches, though, and resume writers who provide our one-on-one individual coaching services, and they're in different parts of the country. I've been coaching and training since 2002, and my running joke these days is I could still kind of use one of those stick pens to cover the gray hair. I think it's going to be harder to do so in the next few years, though. And I have an undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt University and a master's degree as well from the University of Illinois. So I've been coaching and training a long time. And the advice we're going to give you today is advice that we give to all of our clients to help them overcome their fears of career transition. So please know first, you're not alone. This is totally normal. To have these concerns. I usually joke with our clients, like we'd actually be more worried about you if you didn't have any fears about career transition. Like, woo, throw everything on a credit card and go crazy. So one of the first things kind of admin wise, I always want to share is we will send you the recording and the slides as well so that you can be present here today with us and don't feel like you have to frantically write everything down. And I would ask you to please pick one action step that makes the most sense for you. And based on where you are in terms of your career transition, whether you're at the very beginning or halfway through, etc., pick one thing that you will take away from today that situationally resonates the most for you so that you've got something tangible to latch onto from today. So we've already kind of talked about this. So before we hop into our agenda in the next couple of slides, there are lots of different reasons why career change can be challenging. I was in this same situation a long time ago where I just stayed at a job for longer than I should have, even though honestly, I was crying closer to the end. I was crying in the bathroom like multiple days a week because it was too scary to think about making a shift. And now these days, if you look at this next slide with new technology out there, there's AI, et cetera. It's like, ooh, what do I do? How do I use these things? There are a lot of different steps that you need to take in order to make this change or shift. Some of our clients understandably will tell us, I don't have enough time for this, or I don't know how to use my time wisely. And then other people will say, is this a good time to make a move or not? Bottom line, most people will put this on the back burner. And I get it, and it's understandable, but please know and think about this for me is this is your life. Do you want to live it staying in something that's not a good fit for you and that you dread more of the time than not versus let me just try this and kind of see how it goes. Like take it in baby steps. That's what we always tell our clients too. I would always rather if I'm or when I'm 80, sitting in a rocking chair, talking to my grandkids, et cetera, et cetera. I always want to be able to say that I tried, even if I tried and failed or it didn't go as well as that I would have hoped versus I didn't try at all. So even though there's these different considerations and kind of roadblocks standing in your way, keep that in mind. You don't want to have regrets at the end of your life. Some of the other things that we do need to consider, but also can stand in our way is, how's the economy doing? How's my industry doing? Is this an okay time? What's a realistic position for me? And what is the right fit? And please know that we also are not sitting over here saying like, oh, this is so easy. And if you just wave a magic wand, you'll get into a job that's perfect every single second of the day. No, like every job is going to have some things that we don't enjoy about it as much as some of those other things. But what we help people find are jobs that the good parts so far outweigh the bad parts that they barely notice them. And they're like, yeah, I can totally deal with that as long as I have these other things. And also, just so you know, when you are choosing where you are compromising in this next role, however that looks for you, it's going to make a huge difference in terms of your satisfaction as well. And the reason why we're here today to let you know again that you're not alone is the majority of our clients, when we first start coaching with them, one of the first things we ask them is, yes, their goals, et cetera, but what are their obstacles? What gets in their way? And the majority of the time, they will tell us that they are the things the thing, if you will, that's standing in their way. So you want to move out of the way of your progress and success and know that it is possible to make a change. Like we said a moment ago, it takes time. This doesn't happen overnight. It takes effort. It takes effort to make this happen. And it requires patience, persistence, and also being practical at the same time too. But what I'll tell you from our experience coaching since 2002 is that you can find something better, I promise, that's better than where you are. That's what we have found with all of our clients. They've got to be committed. You've got to be committed to making this happen and put in the work and the effort. But here's how I see it, or using me as an example, I guess. If you looked at my career transition all told, it took about 2-3 years, give or take. Now, I'm not saying yours is going to take that long at all. For me, it took me a while to get up the courage to even quit in the first place. Then I went and took a coaching class to see if that was the right fit. I got help from a career coach to determine the right career path for me. And then I had to grow my coaching practice. But what I always say is, looking back, even if it took twice as long to make it happen, how happy I am and have been in my career, it is totally worth it. So please keep that in mind for me going forward. Now, for our agenda today, if you take a look at this slide, do me a favor, locate the chat box because we will put a couple of resources in there as we go. We are going to be talking about identifying what's getting in your way, the fears, but also sometimes people will say, I don't know what my transferable skills are, and I don't know how to articulate my brand for this new direction. We'll talk about managing your transition and the things we want you to put in place there, goals, support system, making sure you're staying confident throughout, and then implementation. So some of the nuggets and tips that we would suggest to you there. So we're happy to do a consult at any point, whether it's now or later on, and to talk about our services and further. This is what we do all day, every day. I'll put this in the chat box really quickly so that you can grab it. You can go to this website, .us consult, anytime to schedule time to talk with me, ask questions as follow-up about what we've talked about today, and learn more about our services. So let's talk about step number 1. Your first main step, in order as presented today, please, is to identify those fears that you have and any other related obstacles, whether they're internal or external. So the first exercise, and I got this it was from a different topic, like a conference I attended years ago. And the guy was talking about financial freedom and that type of thing. And it was a great exercise to say, okay, when you think of At that time, it was money or finances. And for this purpose, career change or transition, I want you to do this later on and think about, like, for 5 minutes, doesn't have to take that long, but journal about, when you think about this, blur it out on a piece of paper. Don't overthink it, but just kind of spit out what words come to mind, what thoughts come to your mind, and what feelings come to mind first. And what can be so interesting here is if the first things you feel, think of, etc., are like dread, you're tight, it's, like you're scared, etc., this is why you're not making the change. And we need to talk about those things first, how to overcome those. So are they positive or negative? Write them down. Again, don't overthink, just spit it out so that you really know what's going on inside your body and inside of your head. And then do the second step here, which are irrational fears and which are valid, and which are things that you're like, well, if I just give myself a chance to like research some of the ideas out there, that's all I have to do. I don't have to go apply for jobs necessarily. That could be a first step that you take. So which fears are irrational that you can start to move aside and overcome, and which things are valid? So for example, I don't have enough savings to have to dip into those, or not very much. Then what can we do to kind of overlap? Can you do something on the side to kind of get the ball rolling, for example? And then finally, as part of this exercise, identifying your fears and obstacles, how do you behave as a result of these? So what have you done so far, if anything, related to your career transition, so that you get what the result is and that you've got to make a change or a shift? Now, one of the things that we'll reference today is a big challenge for a lot of our clients is that sense of imposter syndrome. Like, I can't make this happen. People aren't going to hire me for something different. Imposter syndrome is where we are unable to kind of internalize our accomplishments. In some way, shape, or form, we might feel sometimes, or a lot of the time, like a little bit of a fraud. And gosh, I don't deserve the success. Or you might be saying to yourself, I can't make this next transition happen because someone's not going to hire me with my background, etc. So whatever it is that you say to yourself that piggybacks on this imposter syndrome, you need to start working on this. And I want you to know that even really successful and effective people can have this imposter syndrome. I do from time to time as well. It's gotten better with time and with age and experience, but it's something that anyone can experience throughout their career. 2 out of 5 successful people and 70% of people can feel like imposters at one time or another. And we want you to start, once you've identified those obstacles in your journaling exercise from a moment ago, we want you to start to think about, how can I proactively manage those obstacles? So let's look at the right-hand side first. Which are those rational fears? Okay, I've got to make a plan and implement it over time. Which are those irrational fears where you're just making assumptions or standing in your own way? Can you talk back to those things? Can you push those fears aside and plug forward? Can you ignore them? Distract yourself with something else? There's a great book that we're going to reference on this next slide called Taming Your Gremlin. And what the author talks in here about is things like send the negative inner voice on a vacation, give it a spreadsheet to do, give it a bag of chips to eat, whatever it is. You can be silly or more formal about this. But the bottom line is, you cannot let those fears hold you back. I had those fears. It's totally reasonable. That's why I stayed in the job that I had for 2 extra years, even though I was miserable, because it was like, how do I make this change? Take it step by step and look at each of these fears and negative inner voices one by one. And what can you start to do to manage those and overcome those? Get support with this. That's why we're here. Turn off the news if it makes you feel negatively about the economy, for example. Some people will create affirmations to help them get past those fears, etc. And when you're creating or starting to develop a plan for yourself of, okay, let me just kind of test the waters here and start to create a transition plan, you need to include in that not just those tangible action steps, but how you're going to manage those fears and concerns. Now we'll look at the left-hand side of the slide. And even though I think for Tiger Woods, unfortunately, he's made some tough personal decisions in the past several years, in the past week included, we cannot argue that he is an amazing golfer. And you need to think about your career transition and approaching this as if you were a professional athlete. It's the same type of thing, that you have the belief and the mindset that you can make this happen. That is going to carry you so far, because if you don't have that, you're not going to do anything in the first place. And we all know how we feel when we go into a networking event or looking at a job opening, et cetera, when we feel confident and on top of the world versus not so good. So this mental game is the first thing that you need to tackle. Now, we talked about this book. We love this book. We recommend it to our clients all the time. You can find it on Amazon. Very low cost, very quick, easy read. 2 reasons why I love it. What we talk about, or what Rick Carson talks about in the book, is to first identify these fears and those negative inner voices. You can do any of these things listed on this slide in order to move past that. The bottom line is that you're becoming the observer of your thoughts so that you can then manage it and push it down or whatever you need to do versus having it run the show. Okay. Go do something else that brings you joy, gets you back in the flow. So one of the things I do want to bring up here in the bottom right, and then we'll keep going though, is sometimes the exercise of journaling over the next couple of days about what your gremlins, those negative inner voices, are saying to you can give you really good clues as to what's going on in your head. So if you're not sure what's exactly going on, even after the exercise we talked about, when we have our clients do this, it is so fascinating to them. They'll be like, oh my gosh, I spend so much time listening to this or talking to myself this way. And, oh, I'm noticing these themes that I'm saying to myself, the same thing kind of over and over. Okay. Great book, great exercises that can come out of this as well. So let's continue to talk about these internal obstacles in this next slide, and then we'll start to move towards those external obstacles too. So we actually had a client, Beth, and at the time we started working with her, she was in Atlanta, and she had a ton of gremlins. She was very successful at Home Depot, but still was like, oh, my bosses have always just been nice to me. They gave me a lucky break, etc. She had a lot of self-doubt for different reasons. And some of the things that she did in order to, by the way, once she started working with us, working on these fears, but then also working on resume, presenting herself, etc., she got a huge job in Chicago. That was such a big promotion for her that she moved and her whole family moved up there with her just by getting out of her own way. You can interview other people about your strengths so that you build that confidence and you're clear on what your brand is. You can write some affirmations and put them on your bathroom mirror. We've had some people write down all of their accomplishments since childhood. 2 other things that you can do is taking small risks every day. Your confidence is like a muscle that you need to develop and work on it. It's going to atrophy if, just like your muscles, you don't go to the gym, right? So taking small risks every day to put yourself out there is going to boost your confidence with your career transition as well, because you're taking these small risks and everything is working out okay. And the other thing that Beth did was she paid attention to her nonverbals when she was speaking up versus not at work. Doing things right now, even before you start on your transition to boost your confidence, can make a huge difference. So start today. Now let's talk about those internal obstacles, because our fears sometimes, completely understandably, are related to rational, actual reality, if you will, right? So you do need to think about reading the room of your organization and your industry. Is this a good time to make a move, or should I work on things in the background and then launch a little bit later this year? You can think about what else you could improve at this time if you can't make a move right this second. Or you can also say to yourself, okay, can I make like a bridge job or find a bridge job that will get me closer to what I want and be perhaps more realistic while I'm working on the long term? Now, all of these things, I don't want you to give up on the long-term career transition and what the dream or the right job would be. What we're saying here, as we said earlier, is it might take a few steps or a move between now and then, but be patient and persistent with it because it's critically important to your satisfaction and well-being as a person as well as a professional. And we do want you to have a plan for those practical considerations. Do you need to create a financial plan? Do you need to start saving some money? Do you need to do some freelance work on the side where you're bringing in a little bit more? Or maybe you do some of the new work that you're wanting to do kind of like on the side, just part-time, to see how it feels for you. So we're not saying ignore the practical. We are saying address the practical considerations as a problem to solve or a challenge to overcome versus a brick wall that you can't get past. And part of getting practical, if you look at this next slide, will be to start brainstorming and identifying what your transferable skills are. Get help from a friend or family member. Use AI to help you with this a little bit. You can analyze different job openings that you're interested in and see, okay, what are the common themes there? And are those some of my transferable skills? Okay. So we don't want you to ignore the practical, but we want you to tackle it head on is the bottom line. So as we continue here today, think of your fears and obstacles as there's an internal set, and those are those gremlins, and the external set of those practical considerations that you need to consider in order to make sure you move forward in the right way. We always offer a free consult if you'd like to learn more about our services. We love what we do. This is what we do all day, every day. And we do offer a discount to alum and webinar attendees. You can use this coupon code. You can also use the QR code to set up time with me. There's a link in the chat box as well. I'd be happy to talk with you about whether working with us at this point or later on is the right fit for you. Now, as you're thinking about and considering those transferable skills, one of the tools that you can grab the slides, remember you will get those and the recording, so keep an eye on your email, please. You can download this, print it out, etc. This is from Development Dimensions International, and it helps people understand what some of their top leadership skills are. So when you're thinking about, gosh, do I have the skills to, transition into something else, and you feel like you don't, this is again where getting practical and tangible and saying, well, I have these leadership skills, so they could be translatable or relevant to the types of jobs I'm going for. We love it when you do a self-assessment. So you rank yourself in each of these areas. Remember, we're only looking for you to pay attention to or really focus on the areas that are going to be relevant for the jobs that you're going for. But then the second thing we love for people to do is to have someone else rank you and rate you on these as well, because getting that objective external opinion can be so, so helpful. Now, as part of what we're talking about with transferable skills to help you overcome your fears is identifying your brand, because then you can say, oh, I do have all these cool strengths and skills. I do have this value. Look at the results that I've achieved for my current organization and my past organizations. And doing kind of like a self-assessment like that of your past work history, even some of your performance reviews, can help boost your confidence to get past these fears, but also help you start to manage or understand, I should say, what your brand is a little bit more, so that you can sell yourself down the line when it's time to do that. Let's talk about step number 2, and this is managing your transition over time. In order to face your fears and take control here, you need to get support. Get support from as many people as possible, friends, family, a career coach, a mentor, etc. And make sure that you're checking in with them regularly to help hold yourself accountable, and they can help hold you accountable as well. We actually find that people attending events like networking events for the industries that they're interested in can be really, really helpful. It boosts their energy. And right now, because transition can take time, we want you to start to expand your network, because those are people that you can conduct informational interviews with, but also that can help you expand and do a better job with your job search as well. More connections to help put in a good word for you. It's a really good idea, like we said already, to identify 2 or 3 people in your personal support network, as well as a coach or a mentor like us. And remember, you want to set up those regular meetings. One of the things we find with our clients is they might be really gung-ho at the beginning, and then we need to say, okay, let's keep that momentum going, keep those sessions scheduled, etc. Make sure that you have systems in place for yourself to hold yourself accountable. Now, in order to face your fears of making a change too, it's important to have your direction be really clear and a timeline for making a shift that's going to be realistic, so that you're not saying to yourself, I want to find my dream job in 3 months. Like, whoa, that's fast. Okay. And if that's not happening, you're going to get frustrated if it's not happening in that amount of time. So be realistic about your plan and your goals, but also get really targeted about the types of jobs that you want. Because part of being confident and overcoming those fears is that clarity. A lot of times people will come to us and they'll be like, well, I'd be really motivated and wouldn't be so fearful if I knew what I wanted in the first place. So download our ideal career model, which is here. And we want you to brainstorm career ideas by thinking about what will be fulfilling to you, what tasks are most interesting and appealing to you and have been so far in your career. What are your top 5 strengths? How do you want to leverage your past experience and education? What types of jobs or roles and work environment are going to be a good fit for your personality type? And what is the right work environment for you? And what type of compensation are you looking for? This is our career direction model that we use with our clients to help them see what else is out there that they didn't even know existed, narrow down their ideas, and make sure that they're targeting and looking for jobs that are the right fit for them in order to make the right career transition. Because sometimes people will say, well, I'm not making a change because I'm afraid I'm going to land in something that is not the right fit for me. This is how you avoid that. Use our model. And let's talk about our third step before we start to close out for today. Implementing career transition, it's tough, like we said, and it takes time and it can be hard to stay committed. So you need to create a routine for yourself and a schedule. So when am I going to work on this? During the course of my week, 2 or 3 days a week. Maybe it's just 1 day a week if you're not in a rush and really busy right now. Are you going to carve out time on Saturday mornings, for example? Create a regular routine and schedule for yourself, as well as making sure that as part of your plan, you've got baby steps in there. You've got milestones and goals so that you know when you're making progress and can check that box, because we all love that. Make sure as part of your plan on the left-hand side of this slide, you have tools that you use regularly to manage those obstacles, because this can be a roller coaster. It can come and go. Those gremlins can quiet down and get louder at certain points in the process. And we're always aware of that with our clients. So that's why we're here. How to leverage your support network. Do you need to prepare to take any classes or get a certification, depending on what your target jobs are? Making sure that you're networking regularly when it's time to do so. And start out, for example, with 30, 60, 90-day goals. What do I want to achieve in the next month and the next 3 months towards this? And it can be even as simple as, I'm going to start out with, how do I, overcome, and what am I going to put in place in order to overcome my fears? So we also have a really great job search boot camp coming up in a few months. Feel free to get the QR code there. This is just for clarity. Our boot camp for job search is for people that know their direction already and are clear on that. We have a design one as well. There's a couple of those things on our website, so feel free to take a look there. And our next GSU and Friends webinar is going to be April 21st. How to know when it's time to go. You can register using this link. However, if you are already on our mailing list, you will get an announcement about this. So you'll see that come through in your email. And before we sign off, please, I would love it if you would share with me in a consult or just send me an email. I'll put it in the chat box right now. What's your action step that you will take away from today? It could be, I'm going to buy the Gremlin book. It could be, I want to do the leadership wheel. All of those things are fair game. It just makes, like, whatever makes the most sense for you is what we want you to pay attention to. We hope this was helpful for you as a starting point today, everybody. I know it's a big one, so please feel free to reach out to us for help. That's why we're here. And I hope this was helpful for you as a starting point. Remember, you'll get the recording and the slides. And if you do have questions, you can set up a consult with us to ask